We have officially closed on Kanye West's old house.
If we really wanted to, we could build a skyscraper on top of this thing. Underneath here is just a unique space. It's almost like a bunker. The goal is to embrace that right there. That's the real winner. You can either buy an Ando, right? You can buy a masterpiece for the same price as you bought a stick frame built by an architect that really doesn't have a name.
So let's just set the stage for today's video. September 2021, Kanye West buys a house at 24844 Malibu Road. It's this beautiful, brutalist architecture home designed by Tadao Ando, and Kanye pays $57.3 million for this place. By early 2022, Kanye hires this guy named Tony Saxon to start basically completely disassembling and demolishing the interiors of this iconic home. And to make matters even crazier, this Tony Saxon guy wasn't even a licensed contractor. He was an entertainer who just took on some random part-time work as a handyman. By late 2022, Tony had succeeded in completely tearing this house apart for Kanye. He removed all the doors, all of the windows, all the handrails, the fireplaces, the cabinets, the countertops, literally everything. Kanye's goal here was to convert the house into an off-the-grid bunker for himself. But by January of 2024, Kanye had a falling out with Tony Saxon. He put a stop to all this work that was happening at the house, and he listed his Malibu home for sale for $53 million, $4 million less than he just paid for it a few years prior. If you've been following the channel a while, you know we've talked about this property a couple times already. The story itself is just so crazy. Plus, Kanye kept dropping the price, so I was kind of on the edge of my seat waiting to see what the house would eventually sell for. Well, this Malibu home has now officially sold. The buyer paid only $21 million for the property, meaning that Kanye lost somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million on this transaction. The buyer's name is Belmont. He's got really big plans for what happens next with this home. But here's the best part. I was able to get Bo on the phone, and in today's episode, I'm gonna share with you guys the highlights from that conversation that I had with him, where Bo basically tells us, first of all, how he negotiated this crazy deal. Then he tells us how the numbers work on a transaction like this and how his company has this kind of unique way of funding these big real estate deals. Then last, of course, we're going to talk about what his plans are with this property now that he owns it. I obviously know a little bit about you just based on reading your profile and reading some of the articles that have come out, but could you just tell us a little bit about you as Bo the guy, and then also your company Belwood and what you guys are doing in real estate development out there in California and around the country?
Yeah, sure. So Bo Belmont, I'm the founder and CEO of Belwood Investments. Background is in real estate. I was a mortgage broker in the early 2000s. Market took a crash, needed to segue into something else, started to do something called flipping houses, and which wasn't a thing. It wasn't on HGTV. There was no flipping zombie house, flipping this, flipping that. There was none of that. But there were people doing it, and I saw that there was tremendous opportunity.
After the market crash, Bo had the opportunity to pick up properties for pennies on the dollar compared to what they were selling for just a few years prior. Bo's friends were all busy with their own day jobs, but they saw success with his house flipping and they wanted to be a part of that success. So after Bo reviewed his business plan and his other capital sources, he agreed to give a friend a shot at investing in one of his deals, and the outcome was kind of fantastic.
The return from my friend was like 45% return in a very short period of time, like 6 months. And then he started telling his friends. And then my other friends started to find out. So now, fast forward, I have 4,000 of these friends, right, that love to invest in real estate, but they don't have the time, money, or resources, or a combination of all of those, but they have the urge, they have the want, they have the passion for it. They're sitting there watching HGTV, they're watching other people live the dream, but they don't have access to it.
So Bo's business plan in a nutshell is very similar to any other real estate developer, where he finds a property that needs to be either fixed up or rebuilt. He proceeds to buy it, fix it up, and then he either sells it for a profit or he holds on to it as a rental. But what's kind of unique about what Bo's doing is that he's offering investors from all over to participate in these deals. His company doesn't call it crowdfunding, but that's essentially what they're doing. They crowdfund a portion of the purchase price to do the deal. Next, though, we get into some of the juicy stuff about the Malibu property that Bo and his company just bought. I asked him kind of how he identified this opportunity in the first place and decided that it was a good idea to buy the Kanye house.
There's a lot of properties that are on our radar. This specific property obviously had a lot of media coverage and, was brought to my lap and I said, okay, great. This is obviously a unique property, tremendous architect, world renowned. There's very few of them built in the area.
What's funny is that you guys know I've already made a couple videos on this house, like back when it was originally for sale. And as a real estate developer myself, when I'm looking at a story like this, I can't help but have the pipe dream of like, oh, I should try to find a way to scrape together the cash and buy this deal myself and bring it back to its original glory. Admittedly, this deal is a little too big for me, but next I asked Bo kind of about that part of the process and exactly how he ran his numbers on this thing.
Now, the numbers on this one are different than a typical stick frame built home by a random architect. This is an art piece. This is something that is going to be held not just as a vacation home or anything like that, but as an art piece. It truly is. So we found value in that. It was located by an agent, and it was brought to my attention. I personally did the underwriting on this. I spoke with the contractors. I spoke with the building department, planning department. I spoke with the listing agent, and I told them, here's what my goal is and how does this look? What are my exits looking like? And everybody who was familiar with the property just gave me so much confidence in this acquisition.
I think the confidence that Bo was receiving at this point was largely because of what a great deal he negotiated. Like, if he bought this thing for asking price, for example, there's no money in the deal. There's no profit to be made at full asking price, but at $21 million, he kind of stole this place.
To get the price down to what we need it to be is basically our algorithm. We base it on, exit strategy, costs per square foot. We base it on contractors. There's so many things that we use in our underwriting. But this specific property was just a little bit outside of our wheelhouse, so it really required me to take a closer dive. Once I evaluated it, I came to a number that was comfortable for me. Now, there was some things going on with the seller that, were unique and brought us to an opportunity to get the price that we got, right? Without going into further detail, we were able to offer a price that was a quick exit for the seller. Right, rather than extend it and go through kind of the back and forth with other potential buyers. He was able to do a quick exit. We were able to acquire it for what we needed to, and it was a happy marriage.
That's the best kind of a deal, when everybody walks away happy. In general, in negotiations, you want both sides of the deal to feel like they're kind of getting a deal. It's hard to imagine Kanye feeling happy after this, but I'm sure he was at minimum relieved to just have this house off of his plate. Next, I asked Bo what he did on the construction side of things. Like, where do you even begin if you're thinking about trying to restore an old brutalist Tadao Ando house?
So I did exactly what I should have done, is what I did, and that was go to the original builder who built it. For the gentleman's name is Richard Sachs. He's a financier in New York, very, very wealthy billionaire, knows exactly what he wants, has the best contractors, the best designers, obviously the best architect, living today. And we went directly to them and said, hey, we need you to make this back to what it once was. As if the current seller had never been there, I need it back to what it once was. And guess what? They have all their drawings, they have all their specs, they have everything. So it's just a redo for them. And the costs are mitigated because of all these things. I don't have to get all new drawings. I don't have to get all new plans. the city of Malibu already knows about this property very well. The whole world, this is the most Googled property in the world today.
The fact that the original team was willing to step up to the plate and help Bo and his team out here was such a blessing. That's going to make their life so much easier.
Having a resource with the previous builder and then a relationship with the city of Malibu saying, just put it back to what it once was. You know, the previous camp wanted to do some unique things with the property that the city of Malibu and the Coastal Commission just were not going to allow. If they just weren't. And so, you know, when we told them, hey, we're just going to restore it and we're going to bring it back, then it was music to their ears, and they were able to say, okay, great. We're going to go ahead and expedite this. We're going to move it along for you. And let's just make all the neighbors happy and everybody moves on.
Another huge win for Bo and his team. Not only did he get the builder on board to kind of help him figure out exactly how to restore this house, but he also got the Coastal Commission and the city on board just based on this house being such an eyesore. Next, we get into the condition of this house when Bo bought it and whether or not it's deteriorated all that much with it sitting so close to the ocean. And then also Bo shares with us kind of what the construction process is going to look like.
So we have moved forward on that, and it is going. We've secured the contractor. We're moving forward with permits and planning and everything like that. So we're definitely going. Exit, as far as construction is concerned, is going to be somewhere around 12 to 14 months, give or take. You know, as far as deterioration is concerned, the glazing's all removed, the flooring's all removed, but this is simple. We need to put mechanical back, plumbing back, electrical back, the glazing, and you know, obviously the finish work. It's a very expensive product that we're putting in there. You know, the lead time on some of these items that we're installing is really long. However, we want the best of the best. And so that's what we're doing right now, because the clientele that we're going to be selling this thing to require the best.
My last question about the Malibu house for Bo was around pricing. I'm wondering exactly what he plans to list this place for once he's 100% finished.
I had a meeting with two of the top brokers in the world yesterday who are going to be listing this property for us. And their exit is north of $50 million. Now, for my investment strategy, I priced it at $40 million exit. At a $40 million exit, my investors make 100% return on their money, okay? Which is an amazing thing. Now, if we hit 50 plus, we'll think about that. They're going to make 200% on their money if we were able to hit that $50 million mark. Now, am I shooting for that? Well, yeah, I'm going to shoot for that, but am I depending on it? No. I'm at the low end.
Okay, and here at the end, you guys, I want to revisit the whole investment strategy here because remember, regular everyday investors were able to invest into this Malibu house, which I think is pretty cool. I'm going to preface this by saying this video was not sponsored by Belwood. I was just kind of genuinely curious about what happens. Like, if you invest $1,000 into this deal, what does that look like? Like, what are the mechanics of that loan and how is your investment protected? Here's what he had to say.
Now, instead of them just handing me a check and shaking a hand, we secure everything with a trust deed. Okay, so they're actually getting something in return. They're not just investing in a real estate investment trust. They're not just doing a handshake, deal. This is something that they're actually receiving some sort of security in return. Anybody can lend their money, okay, as long as they're getting something in return, right? So what we're creating is private money investors. Okay, that's what Belwood does, is we're a platform creating private money investors that are investing in real estate, investing in a trust deed position. And instead of getting, let's say, 8 to 10%, interest plus like points and fees, they're getting half of the profit.
Last, I asked Bo how we can invest if any of us are interested. Remember, this video is not sponsored. I'm just seriously curious. Like, part of me thinks it'd be pretty cool to invest into a house like the Kanye house and then be sitting around the Thanksgiving table this year and be like, oh yeah, guess what? I own a piece of that house. So anyways, this is what Bo had to say about that.
Yeah, so we have an application called the Belwood Investor app, and it's free to download. What folks are able to do is go on there and see what projects are available. There is a limited space available on the Ando property, on the Malibu property, 24844 Malibu Road. So we are still taking some investors on that, but we also have properties in Bel Air, Beverly Hills. We have golf courses, we have restaurants. We definitely have access to real estate investments that typically aren't accessible to the masses. So we've democratized that opportunity through our application called the Belwood Investor app. And then also you can go onto our website, which is belwoodinvestments.com. Once you download the app, all instructions are emailed to you. So it's really a streamlined process. We made this super easy for people to invest in real estate rather than, just all the complexities that go along with typically real estate investing.
That's a wrap for today's episode, you guys. I want to give a huge shout out to Bo for coming onto the show and telling us a little bit more about what he's doing with this property. I'm going to link his information down below. I hope you guys had fun with this one. I'll see you next week.